It's CT on the beat.
Okay, so I go by the name CTB, and I just had my friend here, Rendition, with me. That we just want to have a talk, about the music industry. I don't really have a title for this or a thing for this or why I'm doing this, but I just feel like we can just talk to you out there that is watching, so that you can also have a different perception about how producers or artists or how the music industry works from every random like producer, any friend of mine that I feel like is also who has something to say about the music industry. We're not making everything prim and proper. It's uncut. You can say whatever you feel like, and that's why we're doing this, just for you. So tune in as you are tuned in. I'm out here right now with my friend Rendition. How are you feeling?
I'm good, bro. Yourself?
I'm amazing, man. I'm so grateful that you were keen to come do this with us, especially with me. Anyway, so like I said, I just want to ask you, who is Rendition?
So Rendition is a producer, songwriter, film sound designer. What else do? I run a record label called Motherland X, which is also a digital entertainment platform for creatives. So we basically have a community of creatives, from musicians, producers, photographers, filmmakers. Yeah, that's basically what I do.
Oh wow. And how is everything coming along?
To be honest, there's the good and there's the bad. See, with the type of career that we chose, there aren't any sure things. Everything that you do is based on a gamble. You're basically gambling with your life. So you take certain risks with your life, and most of the time you find that it's not what you thought it was going to be. So as you progress and as you get better with time, you find that for you to get ahead in this industry, you have to do a lot of networking, meaning you deal with a lot of people in certain positions, and those people either decide if you get in or don't. But at the same time, that should never ever leave a producer or an artist in a position of saying my career or my success is dependent on this person. Everything that you do comes from inside you, and if you try your best to put your product out there, being music, being artwork, being whatever, just do it with all your heart, and eventually it works out.
Okay, so consider myself as a music producer. I know a lot of other producers are out there watching this too as well, and also artists basically. So I want to ask you deeper questions, things that many of the producers out there may be going through or may not know how to deal with it when they get to that phase or stage. So I just want to find out, bro, from you, do you love being a music producer?
Do I love being a music producer? Yes, bro. So basically, I came to South Africa to study computer science, and somewhere along the line, I dropped out.
Okay. Hold on. Where are you originally from?
Swaziland.
Shout out to Swaziland people, man. We killing it out here.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
Sorry, it's called the Kingdom of Eswatini now.
Oh, the Kingdom of Iswati. Yeah, I got it right. Anyway, so as you were saying.
So basically I came here to study computer science and be a programmer, but over time I found music and I started producing, and that's what I decided I want to do with the rest of my life. I love being a music producer, but one thing about the arts industry or the entertainment industry is you're not only limited to being just a producer. I started off as a producer, but eventually I learned how to write and like record songs based on the artist I was working with. So I wasn't just like producing for people, I was also paying attention to how they do what they do, the cadences, the flow, the melody, like everything. I was paying attention to that. So I said, why not apply that to myself and grow? So yeah, I love being a producer, but that's why I don't only regard myself as a producer anymore, because if I was just doing that, I'd probably say, yeah, it's not, producers are out here seeing the most.
Okay, so what are the challenges you're facing as a producer? What are the challenges you think that you are facing or you are facing as a producer right now, currently?
So currently, the disconnect is between artists and producers. So producers have beats. Essentially, they're the ones who create the vibe, the beginning of the song, the backbone of the song. And artists come in with lyrics and with their cadences, with their character. So it's a marriage of both these creatives coming together. The disconnect then becomes money being exchanged. See, we come from a society where people are uncomfortable paying other black people money, especially for things they don't necessarily understand. And for artists, it's like that most of the time. Every artist has an excuse, or genuinely doesn't have that money. So producers, let's say I'm a producer and I make a living off of making beats, and I tell you, okay, cool, you want to make music, that's cool, I charged X amount for this and you can't afford to do that. So what must happen now? I'll produce for you for free, and then you go perform the songs, you go take whatever and keep growing as an artist, and you get yours. What about the person you just exploited and left there? So that's where the disconnect is. So the most important thing as a producer is for you to build your brand, build your name. So you're not only just a producer, but you're a brand. So word of mouth is a very powerful thing. Use that to your advantage. Make sure you deliver quality work for every single artist that you work with.
All right. So since you were telling me about an artist building himself to a certain extent for he or she to be able to like have a value for himself, to be able to like work with other people that he needs to work with, I want to find out again from you, what are the biggest challenges you think producers are facing? The challenges that producers are facing.
There's a couple of them. One of them being the money situation, in terms of them not being able to get paid for what their work, for what they offer and what they bring to the table. You find that bigger artists tend to exploit these young producers because all they want is an opportunity to be known and to be seen, for their work to be highlighted. But most of the times, the bigger artists then exploit that and use it to their benefit and then let them go. So that's one. It's kind of hard for you to be a producer and charge 50,000 or 20,000 or 10,000 and actually get that money from even the artists you see on TV.
But do you think that amount is, a producer is worth that amount or even more?
Yeah, so basically you place that amount based on the work you've done. Just like any company, when you look at Coca-Cola, the reason you can spend the amount of money you spend is because it's a brand. You know, it's been advertised since you were a kid. You've seen it. You've seen people consume this product. It's a product you can trust. Therefore, you are willing to spend money on that. Same thing with producers. You need to build your brand as a producer to a point where if you charge 20,000, people will want to
associate themselves with your brand.
Yes, exactly. That's the first thing. Secondly, it's you find producers who work for free, who don't even charge because they're still starting out. So basically, the quickest way for producers to kind of get their name out there is to find artists and produce for them. So that kind of helps both of them to actually grow as artists and creatives. But then you find that once the artist gets established or gets to a certain point, they forget where all of that started, and now they want to work with the bigger producers or the more relevant producers. So that's another issue that producers kind of face.
Interesting. Okay. in the sense of we as producers, what would you suggest, in fact, that we should be doing at this moment to make sure we don't go through the process of we getting ourselves into that state where yeah, an artist doesn't pay you the money you deserve? Or what do we do to prevent ourselves from that? Because I'm thinking that I've gone through that as well, where you make music and then they tell you we need to wait for you to get your money, but the moment you need to be paid for you to leave that time for them, you know what I mean? But you end up not getting anything, and then you hustle the job, and then they come back and they tell you stories again. How do we prevent that? Do we need paperwork? What do we need? How do we prevent such a thing,
So
in your own opinion though?
Yeah, this is my opinion. This is not the holy grail. So what I would suggest is the first thing is we producers all need to register production companies. Have an official body or entity registered that represents you in your capacity, so that the people aren't essentially dealing with you, but they're dealing with the company. So everything has to be done accordingly. So that's the first thing, like getting a production company registered, and then secondly, getting your work registered with like all the governing bodies, your SAMRO, RISA, COPASA, and there's multiple ones, there's maybe 6. Get your music copyrighted. Thirdly, if you're a producer, have invoices, have contracts, draw up contracts for how much you charge, the type of work you do, what you do, all of that. Make it, like, put it down in paper, because then it's golden. Last thing you have to do as a producer is get your publishing sorted. And when I say that, I mean after producing a song, even if you and the artist don't exchange money, make sure you have your royalty splits, or you guys agree on how much of the publishing are you getting for that song, because this is your creation as well. You're part of the composition of the song. So essentially you're entitled to 25%, but you can agree with the producer based on what works for both of you. So get your royalty split, have a piece of paper that says I get X amount of this based on the sales, based on radio spins, based on TV placements, based on all the different revenue streams, but you own that song as like, just like you'd own shares in a company.
All right, totally. I understand. You said something about 25%. I want us to get into that in terms of like you own. Okay, so this is very tricky, because now I'm wondering if you heard him say 25%, I'm thinking, oh, so after all the hard day's work that I've spent, I only have 25% from what I've done. Who started the material? What does okay, why should an artist have more than the producer?
I think that was decided before I was born, but basically, like I said, it's just an agreement between you two. It could be 50%, it could be 60-40, it could be 80-20, it could be anything based on the agreement you guys have.
Okay, you guys heard, he said it's based on an agreement you have with the person. So if you're watching, please make sure you have your agreement or your communication cleared up.
Yes, have all the paperwork that you need. Use the internet. Google is your friend. Find out all these things. We don't necessarily need entertainment lawyers. You can get them for consultation, but you can find all of this information on the internet. Just be willing and actively look for it.
I want to ask you this question, maybe personal as well, and I say uncut. So would you want to tell me your worst experience with an artist?
My worst experience with an artist? Sheesh. Okay, I won't mention names.
Yeah, it's fine. But I think if you mention names too, it will be very interesting for the public, right?
Guys, I'm a very peaceful So yeah, my worst experience with an artist. So there's an artist I found from my country who I worked with for a good 3 years. When I say worked with, I mean like helping in developing ideas, in developing songs, in developing his network, in developing his brand, building that brand we were trying to create. Production absolutely free. I worked on 2 albums for free.
You say it's for free? It's always handshake deals where it's like, yo, if you help me with 1, 2, and 3, and I get to a certain point, you are entitled to certain things, or I can help you with certain things. Is that what the artist told you?
Yeah, that's what we agreed on, based on like just me not knowing anything about the business and he also not knowing much about the business, and a lot can change in 3 years.
So what happened now?
I basically helped a lot with like getting bookings, production, getting features, introducing him to my network, to everything. And when he started seeing success, like basically everything just stopped in terms of communication, in terms of like basically it's like I don't need you anymore.
So you get to a point where
Basically an ego thing where someone feels like I got to this point because I'm a star, which is true, but also you can't deny the fact that I played a huge part in that, and I just I deserve what I deserve. But once again, nothing was signed, so I can't even blame the man. I had to learn that by myself, and from that experience I took that as a producer, you don't necessarily have to depend on an artist, because I see so many producers, even in South Africa. You can go to your top 5 biggest producers, all of them are partnered with an artist or are called so and so's producer. It's never that producer unless that person works for a period of 5 to 10 years and gets established. But most of it is that so and so's producer. That's the notion we need to change. It has to be, I'm a producer, I work with 1, 2, 3, 4, I work with multiple people, but I'm a separate entity from this and that. So once producers can learn to stand by themselves, that's the first step, and that's the biggest step. Confidence in yourself and what you can do. Understand that all these people circling around you aren't there by mistake. They are there because they understand that you are good at what you do.
Clearly we just figured out that
Value.
he says we just okay, so he said value. Value. Anyway, so the value is real. You need to place a value on yourself. Clearly that's what he's saying. And also I want to find out, you see, there are some producers that are very desperate for fame and also sending beats everywhere to people. If you can even send 20 beats and other stuff to a certain artist and they never get response, even if the beats are being used or not. What happens to producers who are desperate for the fame? What do you think you should tell them? I feel like they should know something about what they are supposed to do and what they're not supposed to do, because we all want the better for every producer. Because if he makes that mistake all the time, it affects you. You get it? And it affects me, that I'm also building myself professionally, or he's also building himself professionally. But certain mistakes he keeps doing. And at what point, because everybody goes to get a job and get something for fame or for the exposure and whatever we call it. But if we are giving free beats for exposure, are we gonna make money out of it, or we're just gonna be keeping on giving free beats the whole time?
So you can use exposure to your advantage, but that's not necessarily a currency. So exposure can help you in the sense of, basically with the music industry, you guys exchange value. You're bringing something, he's bringing something, but at the end of the day, there's the law of reciprocity, which means I get what I give and you get what you give. So it's both of us benefit. So if you can find a way to use that exposure to your advantage, then by all means, yeah, it works. But most of the time, producers send 20, 30, 40 beats to artists hoping they jump on one. And that's the first mistake, because you haven't registered that beat. You just sent it to somebody who can record on that and release it for free and just claim it's his. And you have no proof whatsoever to say this is yours. And they have lawyers. You can't afford a lawyer. So it's a lot of, like, people do get desperate, but within that desperation, don't make quick decisions. So yeah, try to actually meet these people face to face, talk to them, and then take it from there. And also, if you're a producer, never send beats before you get your deposit or payment. That's how it works. So I'd prefer you invite the artist to your studio and you guys work on the music, then you take it from there instead of you sending beats, because that's how you get exploited. Yeah, that's a recipe for disaster.
Well, I don't know, there's more questions to ask, but we will save it and we'll end here, because I would want you to comment and leave your questions in the comment, and then we can continue later with him or with any other producer I bump into again in the same workspace of mine. Anyway, so I'm really grateful that we're able to do this. Thank you for coming, Rendition.
My pleasure, bro. I enjoyed this. This is very important for like young kids who are still trying to break into the industry. Like I said in the beginning, there's the good and there's the bad, but you need to understand why you are in this industry to begin with. Are you in it for money? Are you in it for fame? Are you in it for girls? Are you in it for alcohol? Because whatever vices you have, you'll find there, and those are the things that tend to take away your focus and they basically distractions. So you have to be very strong-willed and understand what you are trying to achieve. Have plans, have goals, write them down, and then check on them, see if you're actually doing what you said you'd be doing. That's how it works.
All right. So if you don't know, we didn't talk about this in the beginning, and we know we're gonna end anytime soon, which is couple of minutes, few minutes. The video is about to end anyway. So I want to say something to you guys. I want you to get to know Rendition a little better. What have you worked on? Who are the artists you've produced with?
I've worked with a lot of artists. I think in total I've worked with like 50 artists, and I started producing 2011. So from 2011 till current day, I've just been working with artists until 2018 when I decided to become an artist, and I recorded my debut EP at Red Bull Studios, Cape Town. But before that,
do you want to mention some of the artists you've worked with?
Yeah, bro, I've worked with Usanele from Poison Bucks. I've worked with Una Rams. I've worked with who else? Bro, I've worked with Dr. Jazz from Nigeria. I've worked with CT.
Oh, I'm excited.
I've worked with Just Robin. I've worked with Converse and Nike for some ads. Like, I also do music for TV ads.
Okay, so Rendition, where can people find you on social media and whatever? Where can they find you?
Rendition MLX for Twitter and Instagram. On Facebook, just Rendition.
Awesome. And if someone wants to work with you, what is the procedure he or she has to go through?
You can shoot me a DM. You can email me. My email address is available on all my socials. So yeah, just establish communication and we can take it from there.
All right. Hope you're not charging them a lot. Maybe 50K for production?
No, I don't charge 50K, but we shall talk.
All right, like he said, we shall talk. So since we're about to talk, please, the comments below, please, any question that you feel like you want to ask, anything that you want to know, please go ahead and write them down and let's have a chat, okay? And I'll invite him over again if you want him to still continue and answer certain questions that you guys need to know, or if you want myself to answer certain questions you want to know. Please go ahead and just put them on the comment below and subscribe to the page. I mean, I'm a producer too. I've worked with a lot of people. So we are about to have some fun. Let's get it out. Peace out. Thank you for watching. I love you so much. Mwah. Bye.
Bless up. Shout out.